So to lose to Nottingham Forest a few days ago and to lose to PSV now, it's not just losing, it's the manner of the defeat as well.
I think confidence is an issue at the moment. They had a real big moment 2-1 down with the Gakpo header, and I think if you score that at the Kop end, changes confidence.
Now, if you're asking me what's wrong with Liverpool now, I can't tell you. And there's something obviously not quite right, but I can't tell you because I'm not working with them every day.
Just 6 months ago, Liverpool were champions, Premier League winners. Arne Slot lifted the trophy at Anfield in May. His first season declared an unqualified success. Mohamed Salah set a record 47 goal involvements. The future looked golden. Today, they're 12th in the table, closer to the relegation zone than the title race. 8 losses in their last 11 games, 6 defeats in 7 league matches. They've conceded 3 or more goals in 3 consecutive games for the first time since September 1992. They've lost back-to-back league games by 3 goals for the first time since 1965, 60 years ago. The £446 million summer rebuild has collapsed. Alexander Isak, the British record signing at £125 million, invisible. Florian Wirtz, a flop. The defense that was once impenetrable now leaks more goals than Wolves. Only one team in Europe's top 5 leagues has a worse defensive record. The press has evaporated, the confidence has drained. Van Dijk looks past his best. Salah can't score. Konate is making mistakes every game. Even Arne Slot himself admits he's almost confused by how this is possible. The manager who won the title 7 months ago doesn't have answers. The players who were untouchable are now being exposed week after week. Anfield, Fortress Anfield, has become a graveyard where champions go to lose. And the legends, the voices who usually protect the club, they're not holding back anymore. They've watched long enough, they've defended long enough, but now, as Liverpool sit in the bottom half of the table with no answers and nowhere to hide, the legends have turned. This is the story of how champions became crisis in just 6 months. You know, Liverpool didn't start this season as underdogs. They were defending champions. Think about that for a second. 89 points last season, the best defensive record in the league, 87 goals scored. This was a team that had proven itself. And then the summer came. Nearly £450 million spent. 3 elite attackers brought in. The midfield rebuilt yet again. Depth in every position. The ambition was clear. This wasn't about consolidating. This was about dominating. But here's the thing. The promise never translated to the pitch. Instead of the control everyone expected, Liverpool opened the season with absolute chaos. That press, the one that used to be the most coordinated, most feared in Europe, suddenly looked ordinary, easy to break through. Last year, they were allowing just 6.8 shots per game, the best in the league, right? This season, 13.1, almost double. Those transition moments, the ones where Klopp's Liverpool used to just snuff out the danger instantly, now opponents were living for them. One pass into midfield and Liverpool's shape would just collapse. And you could see it early. Even when they were winning, you could feel it. Late goals bailing them out against Burnley. A 92nd minute winner against Newcastle. Relief, not dominance. That one-shot, one-goal escape at Arsenal where they honestly had no business getting a result. Then the losses started coming. 2-1 to Crystal Palace. Humbled by Manchester United, Chelsea took points off them. And Manchester City? They didn't just beat Liverpool, they swept them aside like they weren't even there. The performances never matched the results. It felt like Liverpool were winning individual battles, but losing the war. Every single match was revealing another flaw, another crack in the foundation. And then came the first real collapse. Nottingham Forest. At Anfield. 3 goals conceded. Now this is a fixture Liverpool have historically owned. To lose by that margin at home, it was only the 4th time ever. But that defeat, it didn't just sting in the moment, it triggered something. A brutal run of 8 losses in 11 matches. 8 in 11. Something Liverpool hadn't experienced in more than half a century. Let that sit with you for a moment. The numbers? Absolutely brutal. By November, they had a negative goal difference. 0 clean sheets in 7 straight league games. 11 goals conceded from crosses in just the first 2 months. Opponents were scoring with their first shot in 5 different matches. This wasn't just bad form. Anyone can have bad form. This was something deeper. This was structural. Even the new signings, Isak, Ekitike, Wirtz, they couldn't find their footing. These are world-class players, but they looked lost. Liverpool became too technical in a league that was getting more physical by the week, too predictable in a league built on explosive transitions, too open in a league where every single mistake gets punished immediately. And you could feel it around Anfield. The tone was shifting from frustration to something heavier, genuine concern. Because this wasn't supposed to be a rebuilding year, you know? This was supposed to be the year Liverpool pushed for back-to-back titles, the year they cemented themselves as a dynasty. But instead of taking that next step, they stumbled into a season where nothing worked the way it did before. The questions got louder, the analysis got harsher, and the legends, the ones who'd built this club, who'd bled for this badge, they started watching with a different kind of worry, not disappointment, fear. Fear that this slump wasn't just temporary, fear that something fundamental had gone wrong. Fear that Arne Slot's Liverpool was losing its identity before it ever truly formed one. And with every game that passed, that feeling just kept growing. Liverpool didn't just lose to PSV, they suffered one of the most alarming European defeats Anfield has seen in years. A 4-1 collapse at home isn't just a bad night, it's statistical confirmation of a pattern that has been forming for months. It was the 9th defeat in 12 matches, the 4th time this season Liverpool conceded 3+ goals, and the 3rd time in a row that the team allowed the opposition to score with their first meaningful attack. These aren't coincidences. These are indicators of a system that is breaking down in real time. The numbers behind the PSV loss were even more unsettling. PSV generated 2.98 expected goals, the highest XG recorded by any away team at Anfield since data collection began. Liverpool, meanwhile, finished with only 1 shot on target after the 35th minute, despite being at home and needing a response. Defensively, they were outrun, outpressed, and outthought. PSV completed 14 progressive carries into Liverpool's final third, almost triple Liverpool's own total. Every counterattack felt like a goal waiting to happen. But the most damning statistic was structural. Liverpool have now conceded 14 goals in their last 7 matches, averaging 2.7 goals against per game, the club's worst defensive run since the mid-1950s. For a team that won the league barely a year ago through pressing discipline and defensive control, the drop is staggering. This isn't normal regression, this is collapse. The deeper problem is tactical. Slot's high press, once coordinated and suffocating, now breaks apart with a single pass. Against PSV, Liverpool lost 63% of all second ball duels, a catastrophic number for a team built on intensity. The midfield was bypassed with ease, the defensive line was exposed, and the distances between Liverpool's units were so stretched that PSV repeatedly ran through them untouched. And then came the moment that changed everything. The legends reacted. Their tone immediately set the mood. Instead of defending the manager or blaming the players, they spoke with the kind of blunt honesty that only comes when former champions no longer recognize what they're watching. Their reactions were not emotional outbursts. They were assessments, calculated, experienced, clinical. The type of judgment that comes from people who understand elite standards. Carragher questioning the structure, Gerrard highlighting the lack of identity, pundits pointing at the numbers that no longer protect Slot. When Liverpool's own icons begin analyzing the team like this, it's not noise, it's diagnosis. The PSV match didn't create the crisis. It only revealed it. It exposed the fragility, the tactical imbalance, and the statistical freefall Liverpool have been hiding behind late goals and narrow wins. And for the first time, even the legends admitted it. For months, Liverpool's poor form was blamed on tactics, systems, and Slot's structural changes. But in football, the moment individual performances start collapsing, the noise becomes impossible to ignore. This is exactly where the legends' frustration comes from. Not just the results, but the shocking drop-off in players who were once the pillars of Liverpool's identity.
Yeah, it was nonsense, absolute nonsense, that Liverpool back in the last 2 games, and that's why I was cautious before the game.
Virgil van Dijk, for example, is still one of the most respected defenders in Europe, but this season shows numbers that simply haven't existed at any point in his Liverpool career. He has already conceded 3 penalties, after giving away just 1 in the entire previous league campaign. He has been dribbled past more times in the last 5 matches than across the whole title-winning season. Even his body language, normally calm and commanding, is tense. Against Forest, he mistimed 3 clearances inside the box. Against City, he misjudged a routine cross. Against PSV, his raised arm handball summed up the club's fragility.
That is just a moment of madness of Van Dijk. He thinks he's fouled and throws his arm up in a... I mean, what is he doing?
Small mistakes now turn into big consequences. The legends weren't mocking him, they were shocked, because Van Dijk has always been Liverpool's standard. Now, the standard is broken. Beside him, Ibrahima Konate looks like a player stuck between physical decline and mental hesitation. In the last 6 games, he has made several errors that have put his goal under threat and panic. Once known for his recovery pace and aggression, he now looks unsure in one-on-one duels, often arriving late or committing too early. Liverpool conceded more than 20 goals across their last 9 defeats. This is why legends spoke bluntly. They know Konate was supposed to be Liverpool's next great center back. Instead, he's become a symbol of how quickly confidence can evaporate. The attacking side of the pitch has its own concerns. Alexander Isak, the £125 million signing, has had a disrupted adaptation, missing preseason, regaining fitness, then suffering another setback. But the facts still remain. He is the first Liverpool player since 1906 to lose his first 4 Premier League starts. Not because he is failing individually, but because the supply line is broken. In all competitions, Liverpool averaged just 1.2 expected goals per match with Isak starting, far below last season's numbers. Strikers depend on rhythm. Isak never had the chance to build one. Ekitike, the one summer signing who started brightly, has also seen his numbers collapse due to uncertainty around his role. In his first 5 Liverpool matches, he averaged 0.6 goals per 90. In the last 6, that has dropped to 0.1, not due to wastefulness, but due to lack of involvement. The legends highlight this because Ekitike was supposed to be one of Slot's success stories. Now he is another case study in how a misfiring system drags everyone down. Then there is Florian Wirtz, arguably the most talented young midfielder in Europe, now struggling with the physical pace of the Premier League. His chance creation remains high, but his duels won, progressive carries, and ability to protect the ball have dipped. He looks sharper in Europe, but domestically he hasn't imposed himself. The legends aren't calling him a flop, they're questioning the environment he has walked into, and at the center of the conversation sits Mohamed Salah. Not criticized harshly, every legend admitted the emotional weight he carries after the loss of Jota, but they could not ignore the footballing truth. Salah is recording his lowest shot conversion rate in 6 years. He has lost more duels this season than the entire previous campaign. His off-ball intensity has dropped, and several goals conceded began with him losing possession high up the pitch. Salah is not finished, but he is not the Salah who dragged Liverpool through difficult spells last year. The legend's tone reflected sadness, not anger. This version of Salah isn't the leader they expected to help hold the dressing room together. When Liverpool legends finally turned against Arne Slot, it wasn't because they suddenly believed he was a bad manager. It was because the individual performances, Van Dijk's errors, Konate's lapses, Isak's isolation, Wirtz's adaptation issues, Salah's dip, proved that the decline had spread beyond tactics. The great players who usually protected the manager are now part of the problem, and once Liverpool legends see that pattern, the conversation changes. Sympathy turns to concern, concern turns to doubt, doubt turns to public criticism. Slot isn't only fighting results anymore. He's fighting the collapse of his dressing room's form, one player at a time. If you strip away the emotion, the frustration, and the shock, Liverpool's crisis comes down to one undeniable truth. The structure of the team is collapsing from the inside. Slot's system, built on compact distances, coordinated pressure, and vertical domination, has fractured so badly that even average teams can slice through it with 1 or 2 passes. The numbers paint it clearly. The eye test confirms it brutally. The press, once Liverpool's identity, is now their greatest weakness.
9 defeats in 12 games. I mean, that is disastrous.
Opponents are finding it alarmingly easy to bypass. In the last 6 matches, Liverpool have allowed 42 successful passes into their defensive third per game, up from 19 at the beginning of the season. That's more than double the amount of dangerous progression allowed. When a high-pressing team becomes easy to play through, everything else falls apart behind it. The midfield is the next fault line. Since the start of their slump, Liverpool have lost 61% of all ground duels, 54% of aerial duels, and 68% of second ball recoveries. These are catastrophic numbers for a team that relies on winning transitions. With no true ball winner anchoring the midfield, opponents are walking straight into the heart of Liverpool's shape. McAllister works hard, but lacks the physical dominance needed for Premier League transitions. Gravenberch isn't a natural 6, Szoboszlai is forced deeper than he should be, and every misalignment in midfield becomes a direct invitation for opponents to run at Liverpool's exposed back line. Which brings us to the defense. The line that looks more unstable now than at any point since the pre-Klopp era. Konate's form has collapsed. Van Dijk is trying to cover too many fires at once. Liverpool now face more shots per match than any top 7 Premier League side, and they concede from 1 in every 5.1 opposition attacks, the worst defensive conversion rate in the league. These numbers are not just worrying, they are impossible to sustain. Spacing is the biggest tactical problem. Slot demands a high defensive line, but without coordinated pressure in front of it, the back four are constantly forced to defend 60 to 70 meter spaces behind them. Against Forest and PSV, every transition looked like a 3v3 or 4v4. Liverpool were repeatedly caught with their fullbacks high, their midfield stretched, and their center backs sprinting backwards in desperation. That isn't a tactical choice, it's a tactical failure. Set pieces have become another disaster. Liverpool have conceded many goals from corners and wide free kicks in their last 11 matches. Opposition analysts have clearly identified Liverpool's weakness in defending far post overloads, and Slot has not found a solution. The team concedes territory too easily, switches off at the back post, and loses the first contact more often than not. Even in possession, Liverpool have lost their identity. Slot's system depends on structured build-up and circular patience, but Liverpool now average 17 turnovers per match, with 9 of them coming in the middle third. Zones where losing the ball triggers instant danger. The team is playing slower, with less confidence, and with no defined pattern of attack. It's methodical without being threatening. It's technical without being effective. You can see the confusion in the players' movements. Wingers dropping too deep, fullbacks hesitating, the midfield unsure whether to press or protect, the defensive line stepping up at the wrong moments. It's a team not only lacking identity, but also lacking cohesion. They are reacting instead of dictating. They are guessing instead of controlling. They are surviving instead of competing. And this is why the legends spoke out. They weren't reacting to emotion, they were reacting to evidence.
You can't deny that this team is struggling massively. They're on a terrible run, confidence is at an all-time low, and they just keep bleeding, they keep conceding goals.
Evidence that Liverpool's tactical foundation is no longer solid. Evidence that the system Slot built cannot hold itself together under pressure. Evidence that the problems run deeper than individual form. Liverpool aren't just losing games, they're losing their structure, and when a team loses its structure, everything else falls with it.